One method to calm the mind, when one enters meditation, is to breathe in a way that is called the 9-round breathing. So you imagine that you inhale by the right nostril, and so you inhale deeply, and then you imagine that you exhale through the left nostril, and so the air from the left side of your body, you imagine you exhale it through the left nostril. So you do that 3 times, and then 3 times you inhale through the left nostril. Inhale deeply, and then you exhale through your right nostril 3 times. And then 3 times together, you inhale with both nostrils. Imagine. Inhale deeply, and you hold the breath in a few seconds. And then you imagine that you exhale through the center of your body. So basically through both nostrils, but you imagine that the air rises up in the center of your body. So you do that 3 times, and then you simply watch the breath. So, when we speak about living a spiritual life, the foundation is trying to be a good member of our community, our society, or following the rule of that's laid out in our community. So try to avoid cheating, lying, and sexual misconduct, and so forth. And with it comes a peace. That one is a decent member of our community, and one tries to contribute in society in whatever way one can, according to one's skill and interest. So, and this contributes in creating a harmonious society, a peaceful environment where everybody is kind of happy to live with each other with tolerance and understanding and love and compassion. And then because we are ordinary beings, we make mistakes, so generate regret, and we try to see ways to behave better, in the future. And yes, we have to pay taxes, and we don't like to pay taxes, and we always think they are too high. No? But no, if you think, okay, I pay this tax, but my tax is for the hospital, the doctor, the nurse, for the nice parks that they build here and there. So you think your tax goes for the good things. And you think, oh, I created this park, oh, I built this hospital. No, through your taxes, you contribute to these things. And instead of having this negative mind about paying taxes, then you have a positive way to look at it. Anyway, you have to pay them. So you might as well turn it into something positive. And you try, sometimes relationships are difficult with one's parents, with one's siblings, or with one's partner, children, or the member of our community. So we try to mend these relationships and try, to get, we're all different, so, but we try to get to a level where we can communicate and understand each other and do our best. And that really brings you a peace, you see, in your mind, that you feel, I'm doing okay with my life. And then from time to time, you apply the 4 opponent powers, like we're going to read in Shantideva's text, to clean, like regularly we clean our body, same thing, regularly you can clean your mind. And thereby, these negative thoughts, negative emotion, they don't brew in your mind and create this kind of low self-esteem, slight depression, melancholy. You see, all these kind of moods are a sign of a polluted mind. So if you clean the mind regularly, actually you can have a happy mind and being joyous and happy with yourself. Then on that basis, one tries to tackle one's destructive thoughts or destructive emotion. So we have wholesome, we have happy thought, we have constructive thought, we have good emotion, happy emotion, peaceful emotion, and we have destructive one or unhappy one, disturbing ones. So the next stage is actually to recognize these different states of mind we go through throughout the day. And we try to apply antidote or the opposite energy to the negative one. And then once one's mind is not anymore very agitated, very under the control of this disturbed emotion, which makes our mind like a, being in a thunderstorm all the time. Like strong waves, strong current. We're overtaken by this emotion, that emotion. So when one's mind is a little bit settled, then we inquire into the nature of things, Who am I? Who are other people? What is life? What is the essence of this world and of me, of the mind, and so on. And thereby we can actually remove the root cause of the negative emotion. And not only remove them temporarily, but remove them in a way that they cannot arise ever again. So there you reach a level of peace and bliss, where your mind is never disturbed anymore by negative emotion, negative thoughts. And this not only in this life, but at the time of death, and wherever you end up after, you never have ever any more negative emotion, negative thoughts. Your mind is never shaken up or disturbed ever again. And once you understand that for yourself, you understand how the destructive emotion come about, and how to disentangle it, how to remove them or create the environment where they cannot arise again. Once you can know this deeply in yourself, basically you become your own psychotherapist. So then you understand how other people are. Understanding your mind, you understand the mind of other people. You understand how their destructive emotion arise, their negative thoughts, and you know how to untangle it for them. You can help them. And then on that basis, you try to develop this altruism, that care for all living beings. See, you wish to help them, but not only superficially. You wish to help them in a deep way, so that they remove their mental afflictions and that they discover the purity of their own mind, the state where they never have any more any destructive emotions and thoughts. Now, as you know, in Buddhist practice, we often do a prayer that has 7 parts, which is called the 7-limb practice or 7-branch practice. So this has the first branch or first part is bowing down or prostration. So this is a practice where one bows down to the enlightened beings or the superior beings. And this is an antidote to pride. Pride has this sense of superiority. So to undermine that pride, we bow down. And then as an antidote to stinginess and miserliness, we meditate on giving. And then as an antidote to our negative emotion, negative thoughts, negative actions, so we engage in the confession, so that our mind becomes free from this inner negative energy. And then next limb is the limb of rejoicing, where one finds joy in others' good fortune. Instead of being jealous of others, we rejoice to feel happy for them, for whatever goodness is in their life. And then we request the Buddhas to help us to live long. So this is also a cause for oneself to have a long life, good health. And then we request teachings or advice, so that we are guided spiritually in this life by teachers, by communities, by books, and so forth. And that also creates the cause to meet spiritual teacher and teachings again next life. And all this, then we dedicate all these positive thoughts and aspiration so as they are not destroyed by a moment of anger, hatred. So this is called the seven-limb prayer, and most of you do it daily or heard about it. And so we do it in any puja or ceremonies. There's always this seven-limb prayer. So each limb can be just one line or one verse, or can be very elaborated. So in this text, Shantideva, in the second and third chapter, makes an extensive seven-limb prayer for us to create the cause to be able to generate bodhicitta in our mind. Because bodhicitta is something very precious, and actually the mind has to be quite pure for that state of mind to take root in oneself. So for us to be able to generate bodhicitta, he leads us in this seven-limb prayer. So we are going to make 5 minutes break, so you can stretch and relax, 5-10 minutes, and then we do the practice. Okay? So on the Mahayana level of one imagines all the beings that were like us before now have reached enlightenment, and they live in their Pure Land. So like a magic realm created by their mind, where advanced bodhisattva can take rebirth and complete their journey towards enlightenment. So in this text, one invokes the Buddhas that live in their Pure Land, and they, with their clairvoyance, they see us and they come in space in front of us, and then to them we make these offerings and prayers. And these Buddhas in the Mahayana, they're surrounded by advanced bodhisattvas like Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, Manjushri, Kshitigarbha, Akashagarbha, Samantabhadra, and so forth. So these are the beings to whom we make these offerings and prayers. So one nice way to enter into the space of making this kind of practice is to bring forth a higher level of your own mind, your own inner experience. So you focus on the space-like nature of your mind. And then you imagine yourself having a pure light energy body. And the people around you in the room also have a pure light energy body. And the room itself is made of rainbow light energy. And you imagine this house being surrounded by a beautiful park. And then in the space in front of you on beautiful clouds, summer clouds, light, fluffy white clouds, you imagine all these enlightened beings coming in space in front of you. So these offerings are based on what was beautiful and appreciated in the Indian culture. So some things resonate with our own culture, and something are like wish fulfilling jewel, wish fulfilling tree. These are mythical or magical creation that was appreciated in the mind of people in the old culture of India. So these we might resonate a bit less with, but no, we appreciate these offerings from this old culture. So you meditate, or if you like to read, it's up to you. You can just, imagine these things while in meditation in your mind. In order to take hold of this precious mind, to the three jewels I sincerely offer: water, flowers, fruits, and medicine. Mountain of jewels, trees laden with blossoms and fruits, forest grows, perfume, incense, wild harvest, and all ornaments. Lakes and pools adorned with lotuses, and the sweet-voiced call of swans. All these I create in my mind and offer to the compassionate lords. Destitute of merit, I have nothing else to offer. Protectors, for my sake, please accept it all. I offer myself to you throughout all my life. If you accept me, I will be without fear. Go beyond the evils of my past and benefit all. In a bathing chamber with crystal floors, pillars of gems and canopies of pearls, I will bathe the Buddhas and their children with water sweet and fragrant. With perfumed towels, I will dry their bodies and offer scented cloths. With excellent garments and finest jewels, I will adorn them. With sumptuous fragrance, I will anoint their bodies. Beautiful flowers strung in garlands, clouds of choicest incense, delicacies and nectar to drink, precious lamps, golden lotuses, incense-sprinkled ground strewed with petal flowers, palaces resonant with song, radiant with pearl and gems, and jeweled parasol I offer, as well as a celestial symphony to soothe the suffering of living beings. May a rain of flower unceasingly stream down upon the precious triple gem. Just as Manjushri and other bodhisattvas made sublime offerings, so shall I. With faith, esteem, and a sea of lyric praise, manifesting as many bodies as atoms of the world, I bow down to the three jewels and all worthy of homage. Until enlightenment, I go for refuge to the three jewels. I beseech you with folded hands. Since beginningless time, I have committed harmful actions and caused them to be done. In ignorance, I rejoiced in what was done. Now, seeing my mistake, I confess. Whatever wrongs I have done towards the triple gem, my parents, my spiritual masters, and others, I openly admit to you. I may well die before having purified them all. Please protect me, for this fleeting life is unstable. For the sake of friends and enemies, I committed evil, but leaving all, I must depart alone. My friends, enemies, all others, and I myself will cease to be, and all that I possess, like dream objects, will be no more. Many friends and enemies have passed already, but the wrong I have done for their sake remains ahead of me. Out of ignorance, lust, and hate, I have committed so much negativity. Never halting night or day, my life is slipping by, never to be regained. Alone, I will have to go. And then, what help will be my friends? Only goodness gained thus far will be of any assistance. Alas, so many negative actions I have gathered for the sake of this transient life. If a man, being led to torture, is transfigured by fear, what need to mention my misery when stricken down by the frightful messenger of death? Panic-stricken, I will then seek protection, but nowhere will help or refuge be found. So from this day, I go for refuge to the Buddhas, to the Dharma, and the Bodhisattvas, to Samantabhadra and Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Akashagarbha, Kshitigarbha, and Vajrapani. Your words I have transgressed. Now in terror I turn to you and plead protection. Alarmed by mere common ills, I act according to a doctor's word. So if all earthly beings can be overcome by just one of the many mental poisons, and no other remedy can be found, not to act according to the advice of the all-knowing physician would be worthy of scorn. If along an ordinary cliff, I need to tread with care, all the more then near the unfathomable precipice. Foolish it is to enjoy myself, thinking today I won't die. For the time will surely come, and with death approaching, how can I relax in carefree ease? Of the life's past experiences, what now remains? And if alone I must depart, what use are friends and enemies? Surely my only concern, night and day, should be to free myself from misery. All the wrongs and transgressions of my vows, committed out of ignorance, with a mind terrified of the suffering to come. I humbly confess it all. Please, guide of the world, accept me, and all these evil actions I shall do no more. With joy, I celebrate the positive actions that rescue beings from the lower realms and place them in better rebirth. I rejoice in the gathering of virtue that causes liberation. In the enlightenment of the Buddhas and their spiritual children. In the ocean of virtue that arise from generating bodhicitta. And in the action that benefit others. I request the Buddhas to shine the Dharma's lamp. I join my hand in beseeching you, please remain amongst us for immeasurable eons. By the virtues I have thus collected, may the sorrows of every living being be ended. And may I serve as a doctor, the nurse, and the medicine itself, until everyone is healed. May I dispel hunger and thirst with a rain of food and drink. And during eons of famine, may I transform myself into those things. May I become everything the poor and destitute could need, and stay close to them. My body, enjoyments, and all my virtues I offer without any sense of loss. Nirvana is attained by giving away everything, so best to give it all to others. Having given them my body, may they use it as they please, merely for their happiness. Having now given it away, why should I hold it dear? May it be a source of benefit for all. If those who see me develop an angry or unkind thought, may that negative mind always turn into a cause of happiness for them. May those who harm me reach enlightenment. May I be a guide, a protector, a boat, a bridge, an aisle, a lamp, a bed, a servant, a wishing jewel, a vase of plenty, a powerful mantra, a wish-granting tree, and more. Like the earth, may I be the ground and sustenance of all beings, until they pass to nirvana. May I provide their livelihood and nourishment. Just as the previous Buddhas gave birth to bodhicitta and then trained in a method leading to enlightenment, I will do likewise for the benefit of all beings. Just as the previous Buddhas gave birth to bodhicitta and then trained in a method leading to enlightenment, I will do likewise for the benefit of all beings. Just as the previous Buddhas gave birth to bodhicitta and then trained in a method leading to enlightenment, I will do likewise for the benefit of all beings. And now, for this pure state of mind to constantly increase, I should praise it in this way. Today, my life has given fruit, for I have become the Buddha's child. In every way, I will act in accordance with such a rank. For like a blind man who has stumbled upon a jewel, bodhicitta has been born within me. It is the supreme ambrosia for defeating death, an inexhaustible treasure, the supreme medicine, the tree that shelters, the bridge from lower realms to happiness, the rising moon, a mighty sun, quintessential butter. All you who yearn for happiness, it will fill you with joy. Today, in the presence of all protectors, I summon the world to supreme happiness. right? 5 minutes break. So in that section, many of our modern prayers contain verses that were read in that prayer. You know, those verses of actually taking the Bodhisattva vow. You know, we find different texts, and certain verses from here you find in a succession Guru Yoga, for example, and the bath offering you find in many pujas also. So many of those prayers that we do actually are rooted in this text from Shantideva. So many of these images, you know, if you read Shantideva's own text, you know, they are a little bit more elaborated, you know. And if you read the commentary, then each of these, you know, being like a boat, like a bridge, you know, like a mantra. So these are explained what they mean, you know, more elaborately. So here's just the essence. Basically, are different images to increase one's wish to help others, you know, to live a life dedicated to others. So it's you know, it's a beautiful day because it's very poetic. You know, sometimes it's a little bit dry, you know, more scholastic, but this is very poetic. You know, it kind of, you know, speaks to another part of your mind, and joyous, you know, in that sense. So the next section we are going to meditate on is how to generate bodhicitta according to this text. So those which like to follow the text will be on page 70, you know, the equality of self and other. So in the 8th chapter on the meditative concentration, so the first part of the text explains, you know, how to create the condition for improve one's concentration. So, so one conditions that he speaks about is trying to find solitude, you know, whether outer solitude or inner solitude, so that the mind can settle. So usually when one meditates on bodhicitta or tries to generate bodhicitta, there's two main approach, right? So one approach, which is not the one in this text, starts by generate some kind of equanimity between friend, enemy, and stranger. And then one tries to see all beings as having been very kind to us as our parents. And then tries to remember the kindness of parents and beings in general. And then, so one really meditates on love, on the kindness of the mother and beings in general, so that one feels very fortunate to have received all this care. And then naturally the wish to repay that kindness arrives, you know, wishing to do something little, you know, back. And there, out of that attitude, then comes love, you know, wishing these beings to be happy, and then compassion, wishing them to be free of suffering. And then seeing one's limitation, then comes the determination to become pure oneself, to become enlightened oneself, to have the skill and quality to help others. So then becomes a state of mind wishing to become Buddha for their sake. So this is literally the approach that you find in the 6 causes of one effect method that comes through the lineage of Maitreya. And then this approach found in this text called the equality of self and other and the exchange of self for other. So this method comes through the lineage from Buddha through Nagarjuna and down to Shantideva. And then Lama Tsongkhapa has combined these 2 traditions into an 11-point meditation. So basically, there's different sets of different stages of going through the meditation to induce this precious state of mind of bodhicitta. So as an introduction, Shantideva says, having thus considered the excellence of solitude, I will fully quiet my rambling thoughts and then meditate on bodhicitta. So meditating on bodhicitta is difficult. You see, if you have a lot of thought, lot of emotion, lot of inner agitation. So one needs first to let the mind calm down, settle a bit. And after having done this prayer to clean the mind and through this virtuous thought, we have some kind of a beautiful base in which we can maybe induce this precious mind of bodhicitta. After an image given, if you have been gardening, so and you have let your field or your garden unattended for a few years, and then if you plant seeds there, in the middle of all these wild plants, and it won't grow properly, right? So first you have to clean, the wild plants and turn the soil, and add fertilizer and so forth. So you make it very nice, and then you plant seeds, and then you water them and so forth. Then it turns into a beautiful garden. So same thing, our mind. You cannot just meditate on bodhicitta with just any type of mind. You have first to pacify your mind. You have first to clean it and add fertilizer, by creating this beautiful thought that we generated by meditating on the 7-branch prayer. So then when your mind is gentle and soft and clear, on that base, then when you cultivate the thoughts described in this text, then the state of mind, the experience comes. So the words are very brief, you know, but the words, they are like a corn that lead you to a certain state of mind, or they are like a finger pointing to the moon, you know. So they lead you to a certain experience within your mind. First, I will reflect on the equality of myself and others. We are all alike in joy and sorrow. So here one reflects how oneself, we want to be happy, you know, in everything we do, directly or indirectly, is to find that happiness. And it's completely okay. There's nothing wrong in wanting to be happy. The Buddha traveled the path to enlightenment to find happiness. And he found the highest happiness possible. So there's nothing wrong in wishing to be happy. So it is for myself, so it is for others. Other beings too have the same wish to be happy, and they have the same right to be happy. So there's no difference between my wish to be happy and my right to be happy and that of others. We are all equal. So Lama Tsongkhapa makes a good point in this meditation. Instead of starting with all beings, you know, meditating on all beings, wishing to be happy, we start with the people close to us in one's life. So if you have parents, partner, children, close friends, or colleagues, so you try to put yourself in their shoes and reflect that, like me, I want to be happy. They also want to be happy, and they have the same right as me to be happy. So that word happiness in this context includes the happiness of having food, shelter, and good health, no ordinary happiness. But it also includes the happiness of a mind free from disturbing emotion, disturbing thought and ignorance. And it also includes the happiness of full omniscient mind, of full enlightenment. So that's what we wish for ourselves, and that's what we wish that all beings equally aspire to and obtain. As I care for my body with its many limbs as a whole, so should I care for all beings, one in wanting to be happy. So my body has many parts, and I care for each one of them. I care for my foot when it's painful. I care for my hand. I care for my head when I have headache. So I care for each part of my body. So in the same way, Shantideva says, in the same way as there are many different beings, like many different limbs in my body, in the same way I should care for all living beings. Because they're all part of humanity or of living being. So any being we encounter throughout the day, whether a sparrow, a dog, a cat, or other human beings that we come across in the street, in the shops, it's good to remember they are like me. They just want to be happy, and they have the same right as me to be happy. And you can expand your mind, all the people in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, Middle East, South and North America, all these human beings living in this country, and all the animals, they're all like me. They wish to be happy, and like me, they have the right to be happy. Then if one expands that state of mind, including other forms of life that we might not be aware of. For those in the celestial realms, devas and asuras, the various type of spirits, and the beings that are temporarily born in the hells. So all these beings, like myself, wish to be happy, and they have the right to be happy. Then Shantideva in this text brings about a little bit the view of ultimate reality to help us break down the difference between self and other. So he questions, what is the sense of me? Why me is more important than other? Where is this me? Pain that is mine is hard to bear because of clinging to me. Likewise, the pain of another isn't felt by me, but by the other from clinging to their me. Therefore, I should alleviate others' pains, for it is simply pain like my own, and I will benefit others, living beings just like me. So within ourselves, there's this strong sense of I, like a solid I, and that the body and mind belongs to him. But if you inquire, where is this solid I within your body and mind? The more you look for it, the less you can find. And you experience a sense of space, an absence of this I. So then the strong feeling of my happiness being more important than others vanishes. Because there's no this distinct, unique sense of I is not there. And like myself, I cling to this I. Other beings, they cling to their I. And for them, that's why their pain and their happiness is more important than that for others, like me. So if you can weaken your sense of self-grasping, if you can weaken the sense of I or ego within your body-mind, then it's much easier to care for others. Then Shantideva questions, we are all equally want happiness. Why only care for mine? Then he plays the devil's advocate. Well, their pain doesn't affect me, so why should I care? Then his wisdom answers, then why worry about my future fleeing, which doesn't harm my present me? So the devil says, well, because it will be me. It will become me in the future. And then the wisdom answer, wrong. The present moment I perishes. Another I will be born. So You see, we have this sense of an I that is quite solid. You see, we think we are the same person than yesterday. And we think that tomorrow we're going to be the same person as today. So this I, if you look for it, strong sense of I doesn't exist within your body and mind. Your body and mind is a stream of moment changing from moment to moment. You see, your body is not the same body as yesterday. It's the continuity of body of yesterday. So some cells have died, some cells have been born, and your body is slightly older than yesterday. So your body has changed. It's not the same body as yesterday, it's the continuity of the body of yesterday. So same stream in your mind. Your mind of today is not the same as your mind of yesterday. So your mind today has different thought, different emotion, different mood. You're in a different state of mind as yesterday, but you are the continuity of the mind of yesterday. So your body changes from moment to moment, your mind changes from moment to moment. And on the base of this changing body and changing mind, you may be labeled I. So there's a valid sense of I that is a mere designation. The mind labeling I on the base of the body and mind. And that I exist as a mere designation on the body and mind. But there's no I in there. So each second, one moment of mind ends and another moment of mind arises. And each second, a moment of the body ceases and the next moment of your body arises. And in each of these moments, you label I on this continually changing body-mind. So there's no enduring I. So the I of today is different than the I of yesterday. And the I of tomorrow will be different than the I of today. Why is the I of tomorrow different than the I of today? Because the body of tomorrow will be different than the body of today, even though it's the continuity of it. And the mind of tomorrow will be different of the mind of today, although it's the continuity of it. And the I is not a thing to be found within the body and mind. I is a mere designation, a mere label, a mere imputation on the base of this body and mind. So it's not a thing that exists from its own side inherently. So the I of tomorrow will be different because the body and mind will be different. So Shantideva brings in this ultimate analysis. You see, this ultimate inquiry. What actually is the I? Why I'm so more important than other? Because of this attachment to this strong sense of self. But if one inquires where this strong sense of self resides, it's actually a hallucination. It's not something that actually exists. And then the devil says, it is for the sufferer to protect himself. Then the wisdom answers, why then does the hand protect the suffering of the foot? So if the foot has pain, well, the foot should take care of itself. It's not that the hand to go there to help. If it's for the sufferer to help himself, why should the hand go to help? So the devil said, it might be illogical, but it is because of feeling the whole body-mind to be me. Well, shouldn't we reject what's illogical? Aggregates, armies, forests are not truly findable home. So aggregate is merely label on the collection of body-mind. Army is merely imputed on a collection of soldiers. Forest is merely designated on a collection of trees. They are not truly findable wholes. they're not solid entity. So if you look for a forest, it's only a bunch of trees together that you label, you impute forest. You don't find any forest there that exists objectively from its own side. So same thing, I is merely designated on the collection of body and mind. It's not the thing that you can actually find somewhere in the body-mind. So since no possessor of suffering exists, to whom does it belong? So you see, you have pain, but if you don't find the possessor of the pain, you don't find the I that has pain. So to whom does this suffering belong? And if all pains are without an owner, I should dispel them all without distinction, simply because they hurt. So this is very profound. You see, it really brings the teaching on emptiness, on ultimate reality, into the practice of developing bodhicitta. So His Holiness Dalai Lama likes very much this approach. But for it to be effective, one has to have a certain level of understanding, of ultimate reality, of selflessness. And then one brings that into this meditation, then it becomes really, really effective. And then the devil said in ourselves, if there are no suffering beings, what suffering is there to be alleviated? Okay, so if there's no I, if there's no suffering being, then what suffering is there to be alleviated? Then the wisdom answers, in that case, alleviate either everyone's or no one's, but not just your own. Then the devil said, with compassion, much suffering arises, so why develop it? Then the wisdom answered, well, compared to the suffering of the world, it is not very much. If the suffering of many can be stopped by that of one, someone with loving compassion would seek to bring it on. That's why some bodhisattvas sacrifice their life to save the lives of many. wishing to alleviate the suffering of others, they happily enter the deepest hells. Saving others, they receive oceans of joy. Why settle for pale liberation? Helping others and their happiness is itself my satisfaction, without pride, conceit, or expectation. Just as I protect myself from even the smallest problem, with compassion, I will do the same for others. Through habit, I attach this notion of me to the sperm and ovum of others. So why not consider the bodies of another as me? So this is an interesting thought that Shantideva comes up. You know, this body we consider me, but the body came from the sperm of our father and the ovum of our mother, you know, and then the consciousness enters there, and then the embryo develops, right? So we took, you know, physical material, you know, from our parents, and then our consciousness enters it. So it's something that belongs to our parents, the genetic material of our parents, but then we make our home in it and we call it me. So in the same way, you know, we can, and we did that through familiarity, right? So we enter there, these things that belong to our parents, and then over time we consider this is my body, this is me. So in the same way, through familiarity, you can train your mind to consider other people as you. So the same care you have for yourself, you can train your mind to have the same attitude of caring for others. Okay, any questions about that? All clear. Huh? Yeah, yeah. So meditation, no? It's really a process of familiarizing one's mind with some ideas, you know. So first one listens and one studies, and then one reflects, one contemplates, one meditates on these ideas, one chew over them, and then gradually you start having some intuition, some experience of them, what they point out, and So suddenly you have some intuition, some feeling, and gradually this turns into experience. And this experience becomes, at the beginning, it's just glimpse, little insight here and there. And then gradually they last longer and longer. And then they transform into a stable experience, they become part of your mind, of your own way of seeing life. So you start having views like the sages of the past have had, So your mind becomes like a mind of a bodhisattva, the mind, of Shantideva, of Lama Tsongkhapa, the mind of His Holiness Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa. Your mind becomes like that. But it's a gradual process, over many, many years. So what Shantideva does here in this verse, he tries to break down this concept that I'm so different than others. So try to, we're all the same. And I think in daily life, if we can cultivate that thought, oh, all these people walking around me, walking around, they like me, they just want to be happy. And they have the same right as me to be happy. So that helps you to be patient, when people, are a little bit difficult or do obnoxious things, like speaking loudly on their phone in the street, with their, how you say, earphones, and they speak loudly to nobody, it seems, but they speak to somebody on their phone, yeah, it's quite strange. Or even in public transport, they speak very loudly. To who they speak? They speak to somebody on their phone. And they are not aware that they speak loudly, because they have the earphone on. So there are many situations where people are a little bit obnoxious, not aware of what's happening around them. They're in their own little bubble. And I think cell phones. Sometimes, actually yesterday there was a lady walking in front of me, looking at her phone, and she was crossing. So she walked on the how you say, sideways. And she didn't see that she reached the end of the sideway and went on the road, looking at her phone. It's kind of strange. So yeah, people live really, I think, especially in cities, people tend to isolate themselves in their little bubble, and lose the awareness of other people around them. So, in those situations, remember, they also want to be happy. Like me, they want to be happy. And sadly, they live in their little bubble and they have no spatial awareness of what's going on around themselves. I remember the first time I went to India, because there, I don't know, also in those days there were no cell phone, but I don't know, in India or Nepal, you're much more in communication with all these, what life's going on around you. So I remember I flew back from Sri Lanka to Zurich, and it was in the middle of the winter, and I was with my flip-flop because I arrived from Sri Lanka, you know, and my kind of, I, I had made a trouser out of a longi, and I had made a white trouser, and I was in my flip-flop in my trouser, and, you know, light thing. And I remember I was in the bus going to the train station from the airport, you know, and I was, you know, happy, smiling, everybody, and everybody was, you know, and it lasted 2-3 weeks, you know, I was kind of, and then slowly myself, you know, I became like that, you know. Huh?
It has an effect.
Yes,
the
yes,
general,
yes. Yeah. So yeah,
way of being.
and I think, you know, if you go the country of the south, you know, like you know, Mediterranean country, people are much more exuberant outward, or Mexico or South America, you know, people are much more lively and extrovert, kind of, you know, interacting with each other. So when they come in the northern countries, you know, and it's kind of shock. So in Buddhist, this practice of saying oneself and other, you know, the same, all wanting to be happy. So then that loving kindness makes you, you know, able to put yourself in other people's shoes and try to see how they feel at that moment. You know, these people might have some problem or some worries or some, you know, they have to do something right now on their phone because whatever reason, you know, maybe, you know, their father was just sick and, you know, they have to communicate something important. Who knows? So we can give other people the benefit of the doubt. You know, they might have to do something important right now, right? Instead of being judging and being negative, you know, having negative thoughts. So I think I think most of you travel quite a bit, you know, or have traveled quite a bit. So you go into different culture, you see different type of people, and wherever you go, you see, well, these people, you know, they have a different world, but they're like me, they want to be happy. You know, you see children in different countries, they're just children, you know, and they just want to play and be happy. So in that sense, you know, all humanity, all living beings just want to be happy. Where I live, I put up a little wooden board for birds to put their nest, make their nest. So in my living room, I have the window and I can see the nest, you know. So while having lunch, I can see the nest, so I can see what's going on there. So, you know, the birds each spring they build their nest, right? And then they sit on the nest for a little while, and then the eggs come, you know, like that. And then they sit on the eggs and they come and go. And then when the small birdies come up, you know, they come to feed them, you know, on and on and on, right? And then, so these are, they call king birds. And then when the chicks are grown up, they start flying around, you know. So for a week, they hang out around the house. So there's 4 chicks, you know, 4 babies. So there's the 2 parents and the 4 babies, and they hang around the house. So I put a bath, a bird bath, you know, there, and like that. But I try to give them seeds, but they're not interested. They eat insects, you know. So these birds eat insects. So, but they play around the house, you know, and after a week they fly off. Right? And then I put up 2 cages because there's another type of bird called bluebirds. So they're blue, you know, they're beautiful. you know, where they like to live in a house, and so just a small hole, you know, they enter and they make the nest inside. So when these babies grow, you know, so they look out of the hole with the beak, you know, and then the parents, they come and they put the insects in their mouth, you know. And, you know, they're very busy, you know, kind of bringing food to the bird. And then, so they are outside my kitchen, so I can look at what's going on there. And so I take some pictures. So those bluebirds is baby, you know, so for 3-4 weeks, the parents feed them, you know. But so the kingbirds, when they fly off, they can go back to the nest, you know, so they come in and out of their nest, you know, for a week or so, right? But the kingbirds, the bluebirds, they come out of that hole and they don't go back in. Once they're out, they're out, right? So the day they decide to leave the nest, that's it, right? So a day or two, I notice all the bluebirds, they're not in there anymore, you know, so they flew off. So I peeped inside and yeah, there was nobody there. But 2 days later, I found one dead on the floor. You know, one of the baby has died. And a few days later, I saw a second one. You know, so out of the 3 bluebird baby, only one survived. You know, it was quite sad. You know, so you notice actually life is very fragile for those birds. You know, yeah. So you know, so much energy, so much love the parents gave to their babies, and then they fly off, and you know they don't make it somehow. But the parents are so excited, you know, when they have babies, you know, they're so happy and they want to feed them. You know, it's funny. You know? And the small babies, you know, they're so excited to discover life, you know. They're looking, you know, right, right. And then they play, you know, they play with each other and yeah, and they discover water and they go inside and they they fly off, you know, and they come back a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, life is beautiful, you know. If you let yourself observe, you know, life is beautiful, you know, and everybody wants to be happy with whatever they have, you know, whatever understanding they have of their life. So they try to do their best. So it's just a matter of having this rediscover the sensitivity, you know, to watch these things. Uh, Sometimes we are so overtaken by our worries, our problems, our responsibility, our job, you know, we can live in our tunnel, you know, and we are not have, you know, the curiosity or the looking the beauty of life around oneself, you know. I think it's easier when you're a tourist because basically you're on leisure time, you know, you don't have to follow your agenda. So you're a little bit more settled. And I found like Zurich is a beautiful city, you know, with lots of parks, lots of, you know, they made the city really nice, you know, pleasant with lots of tree and things like that. So, and this didn't happen by chance, you know, people put energy in it. You know, people thought about it to make the city pleasant and, you know, reduce the noise, you know. So people put effort in making the city pleasant, you know. So they made it out of love, you know, out of care, you know. So I think to sometimes one forgets to look at that, you know, oh, actually, we live really in a pleasant world, in a pleasant environment. And, you know, for people, and then to be respectful of other people's space, of other people's, you know, by not making you motorbike, and it's very nice. Being mindful. Oh, actually, yeah, I enjoy my motorbike, but other people enjoy their silence. So like that, living harmoniously together. I think, yeah. Instead of living in one's little bubble. So by opening your eyes and ears to what's going on around you, you connect more with life. You see, you connect more with our humanity, with our how we all want to be happy. And that makes you able to communicate, say hello to even somebody you don't know. How are you today, And now in Europe, wherever you go, we are multiracial. There are people from many different background origin. It's like a melting pot. For example, in Geneva, in a newspaper a few days ago, I read there's only 30% of Swiss people in Geneva. There's only 30% of people which only have the Swiss passport, right? So then there's another 30% that have double nationality, so they came from other countries mostly, right? And then the second generation, so they come from other countries, and then they have the Swiss passport, right? And then 1/3, they are foreigners, that live in Switzerland, in Geneva, let's say. So it's interesting because when I grew up, in my teens, well, 90% were Swiss people, right? And so things that society has evolved, right? So we have to learn to live with different culture, and tolerate each other and appreciate each other, what people contribute, to the society. So I think if one lives with bodhicitta, with a kind heart, with realizing that all beings are like me, wishing to be happy, so then you can start communicate instead of having this aversion or indifference, So kind of from heart to heart, you can communicate with everyone, by seeing their humanity, they wish to be happy. In that sense, I think bodhicitta really helps you in everyday life. So that's not speaking about becoming bodhisattvas and wanting to reach enlightenment, just the benefit of what that state of mind brings you in everyday life. And one special thing is that each being is unique. There's a beauty and a discovery to be made in each living being. Each one is unique. Each bird is unique, like my birds, each one, so it's beautiful to discover. And when you travel, you see all these beings, and each one is unique, unique body shape, and unique mind, unique thought, outlook on life. So to have that curiosity to want to discover, and at least being kind and saying hello, and how are you, how is your day, and it makes people happy, especially, some people work hard in the businesses, and then we take it for granted that they serve us, that they give us what we want. But they are human beings, and they work in that job, and it's a difficult job, to serve others. And often they have a low pay, they work hard for not much money. So, to at least have a kind heart and not show an appreciation for what they do. So not only it makes them happy, but it makes you a warm heart. And that warm heart makes you happy, it makes you comfortable with yourself. So actually, you is the person that benefits more. Yeah, you make other people happy, but you are happy with yourself and you discover this warm heart. you know, and that's really a pleasant experience, you know, as a human being. So it says, you know, among all the spiritual practice, to train to develop a kind heart, a warm heart, you know, and being able to communicate and be comfortable or being at ease with everyone. You know, this is really a great a joy, you know, a great well-being that one gains now. All right, that's it for this morning. We have lunch break.